Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out to Joseph Vaughn Day, a day that has quickly become a favorite annual event for so many of us. At this time, I would like to invite the Vaughn family to come forward and light the Unity Candle. It was 60 years ago that Joseph Vaughn walked across our campus, officially ending segregation at Furman University. Thanks to our statue of Joe, we can still see him. Books tucked under one arm, a sweater buttoned up against a January chill. He was confident. He was courageous. He had to be. But we don't remember Joseph Vaughn only for his courage on January 29th, 1965. That was a Friday. I imagine his schedule was light that day, though he surely felt a heavy burden. We celebrate Joseph Vaughn for what he also did on Saturday, January 30th, 1965. He stayed. And we celebrate what he did on February 1st, 1965. He went to class. Joseph Vaughn stayed and engaged in classes and activities despite hardships that he faced because of the color of his skin. Most importantly, he made sure he was not the last person of color to enroll at Furman, recruiting his friends, Lillian Brock Fleming and Sarah Reese. And as we heard from Lillian, serving as a caretaker for them, a model for them, and a model for so many others. This is what made the man great. I'm sure that Joseph Vaughn was scared when he walked across campus 60 years ago. He was wading into unknown waters, and that makes his actions all the more courageous. When we're frightened, or a little uncertain, and we do what needs to be done anyway, that requires courage. That's why I'm in awe of Joe. That's why he inspires me. He showed up, he stayed, and he brought others with him. A lot has changed in 60 years, but there's still a lot of change that we need to make. We can do so if we have the courage that Joseph Vaughn demonstrated. Furman University will continue to celebrate our courageous students for many years to come. And we will continue to celebrate other Black students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends, thanks to our Black Alumni Council. It will be an honor to witness Coach Carson being recognized this afternoon and to hear our call to action by Sukena Petroipa. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Reggie Garrett, pastor of the Jubilee Baptist Church, a 1998 graduate of Furman, and president of the Black Alumni Council. Reggie.
Thank you, Elizabeth. There is a song that's resonating in my ear right now. If I could help somebody along the way, then my living shall not be in vain. That's what I think about today as we commemorate Joseph Vaughn, a man that just lived life. And his life was an example for all of us. I'm proud to say that I am one of over 1,300 graduates that have graduated from Furman University of African American descent. I would ask now that all the Black Alumni Council please stand in this place so you can be recognized at this time. Friends, my name is Reggie Garrett. It's a bad thing to give a Black Baptist preacher a mic. There's so much I want to get off my chest today, but I ain't gonna do it. There's a lot on my mind. But we're here to talk about fortitude. We're here to talk about excellence. We're here to talk about not only that, strength and courage in a man named Joseph Vaughn. When I've been president now, I only got one more year to go. But when I came into this thing after our establishmentarian left the reins in my hand, some things came to my mind. One thing came to my mind was an acronym for AIR. Somebody say AIR. How many of you know sometimes it's good to have fresh air in a place? A, we want to build a better Black association in our school. I, we need implementation to help our current students. And R, we got to restore some relationship that has been damaged and hurt by systems. Air. Two things that we wanted to do was one, we wanted to establish a scholarship. Y'all, that a scholarship has been established. And I know the air in the room seemed like it got sucked out. I ain't scared. I believe we're going to have our scholarship. I ain't worried about nobody talking about we can't do it because of this or that. But we have a scholarship for our students, and I'm excited about it. The next thing that we wanted to do was to establish an award for an outstanding Black alumni. I remember we took, it didn't take but one meeting of the Black Alumni Council. We kind of shot it out there, and one person's name came to mind that this scholarship should, not this scholarship, see, I'm thinking about money, that this award should be named after. And everybody said Idella Glenn. Idella was just not a friend, she is a big sister. My group was one of the classes, one of the first classes that she came to. I was a sophomore. I was vice president of social affairs of SLBC. So I thought I was king of the roost. Me and some other, Randy Williams and Giovanni Miller at the time were the staff of the SLBC. And we had a transition. So we took the keys to an office that was meant to be for, at the time, it was called Multicultural Affairs. And we had set up, y'all, we had put our desk everywhere, and we had made that office our own. There came a little lady. She wasn't no higher than this. And she said, well, y'all, I'm Idella Glenn. And before she said what her vision was, she said, y'all need to give me back my keys to my office. I love her already because she already setting things straight. But Idella proved to be a friend. She proved to be a confidant. Her living room became a second dormitory for us. She cooked for us. Her two little children became like little sisters that I never had. She was not only a friend, but she was a pillar of what Joseph Vaughn was. She was an example for us. And in a day of darkness where we don't see many examples, Idella was our example, as Joe Vaughn was hers. The Idella Goodson Glenn Outstanding Black Alumni Award honors exceptional individuals who have demonstrated remarkable achievements and exemplary leadership while making significant contributions to their fields and communities. Recognizing their commitment to excellence, this award celebrates the profound impact of Black alumni who serve as inspiring role models, foster a sense of unity and empowerment within our institution's community. Through their outstanding accomplishments, the recipients of this award continue to shape and transform the world, leaving a lasting legacy for future generations. I'm going to call Idella up because how many of you know, I think she best knows this recipient. Can y'all put your hands together for Idella?
Thank you, Reggie, Pastor Garrett. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here with you today. It seems like just yesterday that we were presenting the first Idella Goodson Glenn Award, and it's really weird to hear say your own name in an award. I often imagine how Joe would feel if he was actually in the room today. And I really got a nice walk over with one of his friends from that he grew up with, and it would have meant so much to him, I'm sure. Our first year presenting this award was immensely powerful and somewhat surreal. I'm really trying to digest what it means to be standing in history on the shoulders of Joseph Vaughn, Lillian Brock Fleming, Sarah Reese, Randy Eady, and many, many others. I didn't realize we were up to 1,300. It's amazing to be counted in that number. I entered these doors of Furman 45 years ago, a Black African heritage woman, first-generation college student from Darlington, South Carolina, from a family with less than enough financial resources. Who would have thought that I would be standing here today? As has already been said, we will be celebrating 60 years of desegregation next month. And next year, 2026, 200 years of Furman University. During my time at Furman, from 1996 to 2014, I had the great honor of working with so many gifted and talented students. I want to say a special thank you to you, Reverend Reggie Garrett, who is now serving as the president of the Black Alumni Council. And thank you for recognizing the work of the Black Alumni Council, and for those of you who are here with us today, thank you so much for your service, your passion, and your dedication. It is my pleasure to present this award to another one of my students. I call them my students if they came through the doors when I was here in my role, in my various roles. Jackie Smith Carson was in the first group of first-year students that I welcomed to Furman. I started in February of 1996, and she entered that same fall. I witnessed her brilliance on the court and in various leadership roles while she was a student at Furman. She stood tall then, and she still stands tall now. I was so excited to welcome her back to Furman as a colleague in 2010 as the head women's basketball coach. Serving in her role for 13 years, she was such a wonderful leader and role model for our students, teaching them not only how to be better players, passing on her talent and leadership, but also better people. She provided expert guidance, walked her talk, and taught our students how to be better people off the court. She was wonderful at connecting our students with other leaders and role models in the Furman and Greenville community. While we're saddened to lose her at Furman, I'm confident that she is continuing to shine in her new role, now serving as the ACC Senior Associate Commissioner for Women's Basketball. I know that she will continue to make us Paladin proud. It's now my honor to invite Jackie Smith Carson to join me. Honoring you as the 2025 recipient of the Idella Goodson Glenn Award. So proud of you.
these stilettos weren't such a good idea now that my legs are shaking. So, it's good to be home. So, thank you to President Davis and the entire Furman administration. Thank you to the Furman Black Alumni Council President Reggie Garrett, and for his leadership in the Black Alumni Council for selecting me for this prestigious award. It has always been important to me to leave a legacy at Furman that extends far beyond the basketball court, and to receive this award from my peers and fellow alums, many who were not in athletics, is really special. To the Joseph Vaughn family, it is a privilege to be recognized on this special day. Thank you to Joseph Vaughn for doing something as courageous as he did so that I can be here to accept this award today. Receiving an award named after Idella Glenn, a woman who truly impacted my Furman experience, both as a student and a coach, is a blessing. Although she is very soft-spoken by nature, Idella's presence, her power, and her commitment to campus inclusivity was blaring. She provided students of color like me a sense of belonging and a safe space. Idella, I cannot thank you enough for all you have done for me for the span of 29 years. For being connected to anything bearing your name is truly an honor. I have played and coached in hundreds of games, spoke at functions attended by thousands, but this by far is the most nerve-wracking thing I've had to do in a long time. Those who know me best know that I find joy in other people's success more than I find in my own personal success. However, how uncomfortable this is, it doesn't allow me to share a message very important to me about proudly walking in your truth. In 2021, Furman senior Luke Harbin created a documentary called Race, Recognition, and Reconciliation. Luke stated that he wanted the thoughts and feelings and emotions of marginalized groups on campus to be heard. He knew some people would disapprove, but he courageously proceeded, moving forward and producing a very profound video that was celebrated all over the Furman University campus community. I was fortunate enough to be a part of Luke's documentary. However, it was the last thing that he said to me while leaving my office that really had a profound impact. He thanked me again for participating and asked me what changed my mind. I had no idea what he was talking about. He shared that he had emailed me in between his sophomore and his junior year, asked me to be a part of the same documentary, and I responded and politely declined, stating that I did not feel comfortable enough discussing that in my role at Furman. For so many years, I hid my personal truths, my stories, my experiences from anyone who didn't look like me or could relate. I muted my story so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. I didn't share my truth or walk proudly in my purpose because when I did, it somehow offended others. So I want to use this moment to celebrate others like Luke that empowered me to tell my truth, or those who were courageous enough to walk in their truth so that I could one day walk in mine. This day is deservingly dedicated to the memory and sacrifice of Furman's first Black student, Joseph Vaughn. Mr. Vaughn's courage opened the door for Black students to wear paladin purple and receive a first-class education that many before him could not attain. Being able to contribute to the creation of the Joseph Vaughn Plaza and the statue is one of my proudest moments as a paladin. However, I am here today receiving this award because I was able to walk in the footsteps of Sarah Reese and Lillian Brock Fleming, two of the first Black women to attend Furman University. These women modeled that Black women could not only excel in the classrooms at Furman, but throughout the community, in the country, and the entire world. They opened the door for this award's namesake, Idella Glenn, last year's inaugural recipient, Erica Johnson, and now me, along with countless others. Their accomplishments set an amazing high standard for all the women of color to follow. I too realized far too late in my coaching career that I could impact others around me. My final year at Furman, I learned about a high school-aged young lady who relayed a message that she really wanted to meet me. Unexpectedly, I found her at one of our games at the well and introduced myself. She buried her face in her hands and immediately started crying. Freaked me out. It was weird. It honestly scared the life out of me because I didn't know what was going on. She just kept saying, "I look up to you so much." What was a really crazy moment for me was a magical moment for her. I have no idea why she was so emotional. It could have been that she met a woman that embraces being both a professional, a mom, and a wife, or a coach that represents only 16% of Division I women's basketball coaches that look like her, or simply saw someone that could teach her how to rock 4 to 5 inch stilettos on the sideline and do a mean squat in a pencil skirt. What I do know is when you walk and speak about your truth, you may indeed offend some, but you inspire others. She saw something in my truth and presence that hopefully inspired her to become something that she saw in me. My why in coaching was always to inspire women to do things that they never thought they could do. Although she was not one of my players, I had a tremendous amount of pride that she saw something in me that she hoped she could one day emulate. In some unknown way, I was her Idella Glenn, I was her Lillian Brock Fleming, or I was her Sarah Reese. Maya Angelou once said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you." So I encourage you all to respectfully walk boldly, confidently, and courageously. Share your experiences and be open to hearing the experiences of others. Diversity of thought and learning is a powerful tool. Most importantly, when you tell your truth, be courageous, be proud, and focus on the people that you inspire instead of those you may offend. Chances are, if someone is offended by your truths, they're likely offended merely by your presence. So thank you again for this honor. I'm so excited to be back on campus with my Furman family members. I want to say thank you to my guests, Rennie and Dean Walden, who have been my absolute biggest cheerleaders for the past 14 years. Thank you to my mom for showing me how to be better, walk tall, and command presence in every room that I enter. Thank you to my dad, who is the best leader I've ever seen. He's a 31-year veteran in the U.S. Army. However, I remember as a teenager one instance where my family rolled up to the visitor's gate of a military base. My dad was not in uniform, and before my dad could get out his ID, the guard at the gate addressed him as boy. The problem was that he inappropriately addressed a man that he didn't know was a black officer that represented 3 to 4% of all colonels in the U.S. military. That day, he quickly learned my dad's truth. I do want to thank my girls, London and Lathan, who cannot be here, but always inspire me to be the best I can be so they have an example of what that looks like. Finally, I'm not going to live this down in the car. I want to say thank you to my husband, who for many know today is also his last day at Furman, after 14 and a half years of service. What I'm going to say is extremely biased, and I recognize that. But hopefully it'll earn me some brownie points. He's the best administrator this campus has ever seen. And he has been an outstanding leader for not only the student athletes on this campus, for black men on this campus, but for countless others. I have lost my title as the favorite Carson, and I'm okay with that. Thank you again for this honor. Thank you again for the privilege of being in front of you. To the Vaughn family, thank you again. To Joseph for opening doors for someone like me.
Good afternoon, everyone. Standing in front of you on Joseph Vaughn Day is an honor and a pleasure. I am pleased to have you all as my audience today, and I hope that I honor your time, I honor this space, and that my words will resonate with you all. As a futuristic person, I often define the future as this potential, this opportunity to put in place a vision. In order to establish this vision, it is important that us as a collective change our environment. Change can be doubting, and it can be scary to navigate at times when the future holds uncertainty. However, change is fundamental and necessary to let go of the weight of the past and live in the presence of our optimistic vision of the future. I may have an idea of what it means to carry fundamental change personally, but Thomas Sankara, president of Burkina Faso from 1983 and 1987, where I'm from, had a better idea of what it means systematically. He said, and I quote, "You cannot carry out fundamental change without a certain amount of madness." In this case, it comes from nonconformity, the courage to turn your back on the old ways, the old formulas, and to invent the future. It took the madmen of yesterday for us to be able to act with extreme clarity today. I want to be one of those madmen. We must dare to invent the future. End of a quote. So how does this apply to Joseph Vaughn? Joseph Vaughn represented the change that Furman needed to see in order to move forward, to move toward the present that we see today. A present where we see people from different ethnicities, ideologies, nationalities, and races pursuing their dreams and aspirations in a small liberal arts university located in Greenville, South Carolina. He represented madness. Joseph Vaughn was completely mad for daring to be the first representation of Blackness here at Furman. It was mad to step into a new environment that you know nothing about and still find your way through the challenges. It was mad to think that you can belong to a place where at the time your being and your community was underrepresented and oppressed. And it was mad to be bold enough to be the first and carry the weight of being the only one, the single representation of your community. This sounds familiar to me though. I am the first representation of Burkina Faso here at Furman. I am an international student, and sometimes I had to carry the weight of being the only one. But I am not the only one achieving this milestone for themselves and for the community that they represent. All the minoritized groups here on campus are bold enough to come to a place that they know nothing about and still find a way to go through Furman's greatness and be part of Furman's greatness. Indeed, as Joseph Vaughn said it himself, make sure you are part of Furman's greatness. But before any kind of greatness can rise, there is a certain amount of madness that needs to be carried out through nonconformity. Nonconformity is the act of intentionally going against accepted social norms, rules, or practices. But is Furman ready for that concept? Furman very often feels like a place where you need to fit in, where you need to shape yourself into a mold for you to be digestible, understood and heard by others. As much as Joseph Vaughn is the example of change, he still had to conform to Furman, making sure he fits into his culture, norms, and practices, because that's how he could survive and make a way for us minoritized group of color. Looking forward, I want Furman to look at the future with eyes of nonconformity, not conforming to the rules and norms that would get us back to the place and space where Joseph Vaughn was at. We don't just need to conform to Furman. We don't just need to fit into a mold or an ideology. We need to build a community of acceptance, love, and justice for all Furman students. As Bell Hooks said, there can be no love without justice. It is time we practice justice for all the minoritized groups on campus. Nevertheless, I could not carry that speech without mentioning that the world is going through tough times of violence and oppression. All these global issues that need to be addressed as a community and that have impacted different groups here on campus. I think notably about the violence in the Middle East, notably in Gaza, Lebanon, and so forth. I think about the people impacted by the fires in California. I think about the people who are still living through the aftermath of Helene. and also the ones who are fighting against corrupted forces in Sudan, in the eastern part of Congo, in Burkina Faso, so many other places. The list is long, but it is time that we empower our students to act boldly, with clarity, and with bravery to create change for social justice outside Furman and inside Furman. Because the world is waiting on us, and it is looking at us to address those issues. And as a community, we need to give a space to students to be the smart person. That we not just carry the change, but lead it outside and inside Furman. To all my fellow students, I have a message for you all. Are you ready to listen? We need to lead the change that we want to see. It is one thing to criticize one another for what we are doing and what we are not doing, but it is bold and brave enough to address it within certain spaces. As we lose members of our community, as we go mad for the things that we care about, we shouldn't forget to check on our people. Make sure they receive the love and respect they need through justice. I think notably about Stacy Hester, who was part of FPA and chair of the Trans Awareness Committee. She was for sure an agent of change. To all the students that are agents of change here at Furman, I say thank you. And keep going, because the fight for change and liberation never stops. Joseph Vaughn carried the weight, so you don't have to. You don't have to carry fundamental change. I want you to lead it toward justice for all. My final statement will be the following. Black history is everywhere. It is in Furman's history, it is in this country's legacy, it is within the world's legacy. It is a history that has been often buried, but it is time that we revive it to move forward toward a better future that Joseph Vaughn would have been proud of. Thank you.